Okay, box squatting. So the way that we box squat at ELP has been taken from the Westside Barbell system. Now, I don't represent Westside Barbell, but this is how we like to implement box squats. So whether we're doing box squats for strength work or dynamic effort or speed work, I always coach our athletes to have the box right at depth or slightly below. We want to go ahead and train that. So Mary, if you want to go ahead and squat down just so you see where depth is. So depth is usually going to be at, that way there's no question about it, right? So for us, we tend to use a 12-inch box and a weight plate of some kind, 25, 45, and then depending on what type of method we're doing, we may vary padding or whatever, but this is usually how we start out with. So the way that we box squat is we're going to start out, feet are going to be a little bit wider than normal. You probably can't see her because the box is in the way, but the feet are going to be a little wider than hip width apart. We're going to have the toes turned out about 20 degrees-ish, give or take, kind of to your comfort level, okay? Now, when we box squat, the first action is going to be to actually, minus getting the bar and all that, the first action is going to be pushing the hips back. Okay, and we'll go over how to bar set up and everything. That's a whole other video because that is important. But we're just going to say she's got the bar on her now and she's ready to go. So the first move is going to be initiating with the glutes and the hips and pushing them back. Now, as she goes down, the shins remain 90 degrees to the ground. That's a very important concept we have to take into consideration when we're box squatting. Traditionally, a back squat, the knees will tend to go forward a little bit more, like just demo a normal squat, Maren, like how you would kind of back squat. And you'd see that the shin angles come forward. When we're box squatting, I want to see them back more. That's going to help us put more pressure on the glutes and the hips. Now, when we sit on the box, we want to sit on the box like we're sitting on a scale, and we only want the scale to show about half our body weight. And that's the cue I like to use to keep tension in the body, but still kind of release some tension. So a lot of people want to box squat and just touch the box and stand up, like do that. Just touch and stand up. Like that's not a box squat, okay? A true box squat is sitting into the squat like you're sitting onto that scale. Then you're going to release the hips a little bit and then drive back up. So demo that phase. So sit, hips go on and off, and then she drives back up. So one more time, as she sits down, half body weight on there, hips on and off, and then she drives back up. Part number 3 with the box squat is that in the bottom, then we want to, as we start to try to come up, we want to feel like we're driving the heels back. So in a regular squat, our hamstring is a biarticular muscle, meaning it basically doesn't do a whole lot in a traditional squat. So in the box squat, by driving the heels back, we're going to initiate the hamstrings, and so it basically becomes a hamstring curl, so we're getting extra benefit from the move, okay? So again, we have shins 90, we have actually starting out, we have hips back, shins 90, a little rock on and off, and then pulling the feet back to initiate the hamstrings, and then driving up. So one more time, hips back, a little rock, and then drive up. And the only other thing I want to say is a habit that a lot of young athletes or young squatters get into is when they get down and they do the hip, like the hip release, they tend to sway the back. So demo what that would look like you sway and then come up. And one more time. This is what an improper motion would look like. What we want to do is keep that upper body steady. We sit, rocking the hips, and then drive up. And this is how we build the box squat.